Hello, and welcome to a special episode of YusofPlays. Hauls. Well, every episode is special if you ask yours truly, but I'm back, and I didn't originally plan to do this episode mostly because I had not been buying any games for quite some time. I think my last video was over 2 months ago at least, but then something shocking happened which I did not expect, which was that the Black Friday deals were too good to pass up. I could have passed them up and I should have passed them up, as I'll explain later, but here we've got a nice haul of original Xbox, Xbox 360, PlayStation 5, and Switch games. So, thank you for joining, and let's get into this special Black Friday plus haul episode of Yusuf Plays. So, first I'll get into the background, as I've been saying in previous episodes, is that because I'm kind of pushing up against the edge of games that I can reasonably afford without looking insane, um, I, I, I've been buying on Xbox. I've been buying Xbox because the good thing about collecting on Xbox is that it's an unpopular platform. It has incredible backwards compatibility, and it has great third-party support. So it's an unpopular platform because Microsoft is a terrible company and they don't make good games. And they increasingly got worse and worse since the Xbox 360. But the original Xbox and the Xbox 360 have banger after banger, many of them exclusive to those consoles. This was before Xbox did their Play Anywhere day one on PC and console sort of push to catch up with PlayStation. How'd that work out? And so that's because that's why Xbox is an unpopular console, and that means that the collecting market for those sorts of consoles is much cheaper. So you can get an average like all-time classic Xbox game for $10 and less. Something rare is probably going to be $30 or less. So it's wonderful to collect for. It has wonderful backwards compatibility. So the Xbox Series X is compatible with tons and tons of Xbox One, original Xbox I should say, Xbox 360, and Xbox One games. Which is great. I mean, that's, I think, the best thing about Xbox is that all these classics like Ninja Gaiden Black, Panzer Dragoon Orta, Mech Assault, you name it, all these first-party and third-party Xbox games that are only published on those platforms are backwards compatible. And that means you can just pop your disc into your Series X. Mine is borrowed from a friend, and you can just pop your disc in there and play an upscaled, more performant version of a classic that is just wonderful to dive back into. So, Ninja Gaiden Black, for example, one of the all-time great action games. Rest in peace, Tomonobu Itagaki, recently departed. The original Ninja Gaiden or Ninja Gaiden 2, Ninja Gaiden Black or Ninja Gaiden 2 on Xbox and Xbox 360 respectively, just beautifully up-resed and performing wonderfully, no dips. So that's one of the great things about the backwards compatibility on Xbox is the level. Basically, it's an emulation, I believe, software emulation. So it's doing it beautifully. And third-party support is best on Xbox. So obviously lots and lots of games over the original Xbox and Xbox 360 period released multi-platform, particularly third-party games. This is before console architecture became so PC-like that basically ports to different platforms would be nearly identical, like you see now between PS5 and Series X games. So oftentimes, because Xbox and Xbox 360, the original Xbox was more powerful than PlayStation 2 and GameCube, and the Xbox 360 was much easier to develop for than the PlayStation 3. So you'd see games that had a wide degree of variance between them in quality and performance. So that's why third-party support, if you're looking for a third-party game on the original, in that 6th and 7th gen, I believe, or 7th and 8th gen, whatever, the Xbox and Xbox 360 generations, you're probably going to be picking them up on Xbox. There's very rare situations in which a PS2 version is better than an Xbox version. Now, there are some when a game is originally developed for PS2. Silent Hill 2, Metal Gear Solid 2, both of those originally developed for PS2, and significantly better on that platform than the Xbox versions, which were ported later. But many games like Mass Effect, for example, Assassin's Creed, lots of Rockstar games, EA, Rockstar, so on and so forth, games are better on Xbox. So you're only getting you're getting the cheaper version. You're getting a version that's backwards compatible, and you don't have to bust out your old console. And you're getting a version that is performant better on original console and on and on your modern console. So let's dive into it. And that, I've been collecting Xbox, and we'll talk about why I strayed away from that. You'll have to excuse the intrusion of my producer. She's just checking to make sure that the levels are right. So 2 games I picked up. I actually already had these on PC, but this guy was selling his collection on eBay, and I thought, why not? He had so much good stuff. So I picked up Jedi Knight 1 and 2, Jedi Academy. Or wait, is it? Yeah, Star Wars Jedi Knight, Jedi Academy, and Star Wars Jedi Knight 2, Jedi Outcast. So these I have played on PC way back in the day, and I started playing this one on PC a couple of years ago. Dropped it at some point, but these are wonderful games by Raven Software, which I believe now is either just in the Call of Duty mines, or is a defunct studio. I'm not sure. Is that the same Raven? I'm not sure, but these are 2 of the best Star Wars games ever, along with KOTOR 1 and 2, also on the original Xbox, and also picked up KOTOR 2 in a previous video. I think these are wonderful. I think these have until the current EA Jedi games with that Cal Kestis guy. I forget the names right now, but I think these are the best games, Star Wars games, that make you feel like Spider-Man. They make you feel like Batman. They make you... They nail the Jedi gameplay. They nail the Force powers. They nail the story. And Kyle Katarn, I believe, is either the star of the first or the second, a classic Star Wars character that only exists in the game universe. So these are 2 really, really great games. I think they're even better on PC with mods, obviously, but it's nice to play and own the originals physically on the Xbox. Again, the Xbox had lots and lots of third-party exclusives just because of its closer to PC architecture. It was the direct Xbox. And because only some PC games could only run on Xbox and could not run on a GameCube or PS2, or the market just wasn't there. So you have these Star Wars games, you have Knights of the Old Republic, and then you have something like MechAssault, which I picked up for free, actually, because it came in significantly worse condition than the pictures showed. I haven't had a chance to clean it up, but a little beat up of a copy here. Not nothing crazy, not like somebody spit on it and threw it in the gutter, but it does need a little love. And this I remember playing vividly. I don't remember whose house, I don't remember what Mehmoni, but I remember going upstairs, and there was an original Xbox which I had never played before. And whoever's house that was, they had MechAssault. What's up? Hi. Checking the levels of the video, just making sure everything's good production-wise. Do you want to comment on MechAssault?
I do want to comment on MechAssault. This game, it's great for Xbox Live.
I don't think you can play it on Xbox Live anymore. No, I know, but it's probably defunct.
We'll cut that.
But I do want to say that you got me a game later on. For my birthday, you did get me something in this video. So thank you.
Of course.
Appreciate you. Where was I? MechAssault. Yeah, I remember going upstairs to this guy's, this other kid's house. I've been there a couple times. I might be mixing up memories, but I remember he had MechAssault, and these might be different games, but I also remember going upstairs to somebody's house during a Mehmoni and then played Toe Jam and Earl either on Genesis or on Xbox, and also played a SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom, and also a SpongeBob game on PS1. I may be mixing up memories, but the point is, I went upstairs to somebody's house during a Mehmoni, which is in Iranian. Basically, just you go to somebody's house and hang out, and then the kids go upstairs and hang out with each other. Anyways, they had MechAssault, and I remember thinking it was so cool and wishing I had an Xbox, but I had a PS2, so I was very happy with that I did. Anyways, super cool game, check it out. And MechAssault 2 supposedly even better, but they don't really make games like this anymore. Just cool 3D action games, like slightly more technical because You obviously want the technical feeling of piloting a mech and having lots of buttons and knobs to touch. I think the most extreme version of that is it Steel Battalion, Steel Assault, something like that, developed by Capcom, where they built their own basically mech set, this control panel that you connected to your Xbox, and now it goes for like hundreds and hundreds of dollars. But you got the levers and the pulleys and the buttons and the gauges and knobs and lights, and it's a wonderful experience if you ever get to. I wish they made, or maybe they did arcade versions of that, but that's another one to look into if you want to spend $500 on like one game. You can also play with a controller, but obviously not the same. So a couple of Xbox 360 pickups that I'm pretty happy about and I've been wanting to get into because for some reason I've been feeling very nostalgic for this this PS3 360 Wii generation. The games are cheap right now because the nostalgia wave hasn't hit just yet. The nostalgia wave hit PS2, GameCube. It hasn't hit this quite yet. I think it's going to get there in a year or two. But for now, these games are cheap and there's tons of classics. And this is the point where game development really started to significantly change because game development became more difficult because of HD assets, became more time consuming, and you had more technical push for bigger and bigger game worlds. You had games that were going to be hundreds of hours. I think Skyrim really influenced game development. You also saw a sort of wane in quality of Japanese games, a down period in Square Enix, Capcom, other Japanese third parties, even a wane in PlayStation's Japanese output, and a push towards Western game development. Some of the most influential games of this period, like Uncharted 2, which I'm actually currently playing and loving. It's incredible. Reliving that. Uncharted 2, Skyrim, GTA 4 were so influential in pushing realism, largeness of worlds, amazing physics, fidelity, and this is the sort of the last period where you get these AAA games that are manageable and arcadey and focus on fun first rather than narrative and things of that nature. So, as an example of that, we have supposedly one of the great racing games ever, though I have never played it, Midnight Club Los Angeles Complete Edition on 360. Only comes in this Platinum Hits. I want to say thank you to Xbox for having the least offensive Platinum or Greatest Hits sort of cover. It's just like a gray scale. It doesn't make that much of a difference. It's not offensive like the hyper red or hyper yellows, the neons of PlayStation 2 and GameCube and PlayStation 3 and Wii. So that's wonderful. But a Rockstar game, this is when Rockstar used to put out lots of games instead of one game a generation. If you look at their sort of release cadence, it's incredible how many games they put out on both the PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 3 generations. In PlayStation 3 generation, you got GTA 4, GTA 5, those on an edge case, Red Dead Redemption, goated, a port of Bully, Midnight Club Los Angeles, Midnight Club, and then a complete edition of that, and then Rockstar Table Tennis, which I've got back there. So you really, really have, and Max Payne 3. So you really have a lot of games. Oh, LA Noire. So that's like 7 games right there, including a port. And then the next generation, you got a port of GTA 4. I'm sorry, 5, a port of LA Noire, and Red Dead Redemption 2. And now this entire generation, we've got nothing, and we're waiting for GTA 6, which has been delayed. So can we go back? I don't think we can ever go back. I think when a studio gets that point of just being like cutting edge, like Naughty Dog, Rockstar, Bethesda, it's like we're releasing one game a generation, or we're really pushing the medium. You can release a dud like Starfield, which is unfortunate, or you can release something incredible like Last of Us 2 or GTA 6, hopefully. That really pushes the medium forward. We got indie games, I guess, to fill the void, to fill the cadence. But Midnight Club Los Angeles, great arcade racer, supposedly. Excited to try that out. Another game that I'm excited to try, don't have the original, but I wanted to pick up this version of the game even though there is a remastered port. It's sort of the same issue as Batman Arkham Asylum, which I have the remastered version of on PlayStation 4. But I saw a great video, I forget the name of the creator, but he basically talked about how a lot of these remasters completely missed the mark visually and atmospherically from their original versions. 2 games he highlighted in particular were Batman Arkham Asylum and Assassin's Creed 2. Here we got the Ezio trilogy, which includes includes rather Assassin's Creed 2, Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, and Assassin's Creed Revelations. Looking forward to trying this out. I think Assassin's Creed 2, many believe, is the height of the series. I will never say franchise. I will never say that word. Yuck. The height of the series, the perfect version of what Assassin's Creed could be. Then it kind of moved away from it. A lot of people really like Assassin's Creed 4, but for my money, the vibe of Assassin's Creed 2, which I have played before briefly. I had a friend in college, shout out to Roya. She loved Assassin's Creed and really liked Assassin's Creed 2 and Prince of Persia. Um, the vibes of that are unmatched. I remember she had it, I think, an Xbox or a PlayStation 3 in her dorm room and was always reading Orhan Pamuk books, a Turkish writer, and playing Assassin's Creed. Maybe she's a bit of a history buff. But I remember jumping across the Florence rooftops in Assassin's Creed 2 and being so amazed in the very brief moments that she handed me the controller and I played. Super cool. So excited to try that, and visually the vibes are great. Aesthetically the vibes are great, but I don't think the remaster achieves it that well, according to that video. So I didn't pick that version up on PS4 and Xbox One, but hey, maybe. Another all-time classic I remember playing a ton back in the day with my friend Matthew Fear. Shout out to Demir. It's great, folks. Matthew, always at his house playing Halo 3 and Call of Duty 4. Decided to pick up this Modern Warfare trilogy. Didn't know this existed, but I think it's wonderful. I wish I had Xbox Live. These games are still pretty active. When I did briefly have Game Pass, I hopped on Modern Warfare 2, which I have a copy of. I gotten a lot of games. It came in the Black Ops box, but I got Modern Warfare 2 in it. It's still amazing. They still don't make multiplayer games like this anymore because it has all those addicting qualities of leveling up and prestiging and getting new weapons and getting new attachments, but without all the fluff and nonsense of feeling like feeling manipulated by battle passes and garbage like that, and everything being locked away. It's like, no, you play, you get stuff. It's that simple. The more you play, the more you get stuff. It's not like that anymore, and that's unfortunate. This game paved the way, or these games, I should say, including this whole era of Call of Duty, paved the way for modern multiplayer gaming and all the terrible stuff and all the good stuff about it. So I think the last game that really captured that feeling without feeling abusive towards its players is Helldivers 2, which I really love. But don't get to play it anymore thanks to my betrayal of my friends. Wanted to finish out the trilogy here. More games that I think their remasters were very well received, but maybe there's some visual and aesthetic elements that the originals do quite well that aren't perfectly executed in the remasters. I already had the first one, but I picked up Mass Effect 2 and 3. These are three of the greatest games ever made, and I remember playing that Mass Effect 2 on PC back in the day on Uplay or EA Origin or whatever the launcher was when everybody was still trying to compete with Steam. And Mass Effect 2 was incredible. I didn't get that far in it because I spent so much time just walking around and talking to people. So these really, when I picked them up for about $5 or $10 each, made me realize that people complain so much, rightfully so in some ways, and I've talked about it. People complain so much about how expensive gaming is. And it makes sense, but also you can go back and play some of the greatest classics of all time for $10 on original versions or remastered on your old console or your new console. Like, gaming is only expensive if you engage with it and you want to keep up with the latest releases, which usually are coming out with lots and lots of problems unless they're a Nintendo or Sony game. And then go on a deep discount a couple months later, and we'll talk about that in a moment. And another cool game I picked up, which I'm not a big horror game player outside of Resident Evil, but I do think these were lauded in their time as very scary and very interesting psychological horror games. So I picked up the original Condemned Criminal Origins. I think I saw it was delisted on Steam, so I was like, boom, gotta pick that up. That's gonna raise in price if they don't relist it. Don't know much about it. I think it's a little bit like Manhunt, the Rockstar games on PS2. Just like a really violent, gruesome serial killer game with psychological elements. But Condemned Criminal Origins, I will definitely look forward to giving it a try. Didn't pick up Condemned 2. Just saw the original was getting delisted. I did the same thing with Spec Ops: The Line. I think the price went back down, but you know. So now I want to get into the Black Friday haul, and there's quite a bit here. So excuse my consumerism. This I'll be returning because my copy came heavily damaged. I'm I'm a little, I guess not bummed, but I regret not picking it up when it was for sale on IM8-bit before it sold out. But thankfully it came to retail. And really all that's missing is like a little cute slipcover, but that's going to be another crap's treasure. Unfortunately, my copy came messed up here. Like, I guess Box Cutter got it. So I'll be returning it for a replacement. But I had this game on my radar for quite some time. And then my buddy Demir actually played it and said he loved it. He's never played a Souls game before, which I find funny, but he's played one of the great Souls-likes. Now, what I find interesting about this, also recommended by Yahtzee, the game reviewer, Zero Punctuation. He really enjoyed it as well. I think this is a wonderful application of the Souls gameplay to a much more charming and cute presentation. I think the problem with a lot of Souls games or games that tries to be Souls games is that they're like, okay, what makes Souls is like dark fantasy aesthetic story that you have to look into yourself to understand. And then every game awards or every like major like game announcement conference or whatever they're called, you get like 15 trailers that like are absolutely indistinguishable, hideous, boring, dreary, and they're like, oh, you must save the world from the Demon King. It's like, I can't tell any of these games apart. They're all dark fantasy action RPGs, and they're all boring as fuck and hideous and have zero sauce. Like, you're missing all of the sauce from the reason people like Dark Souls and Bloodborne and Elden Ring. You have no knack for this, and there's hundreds of these games. So unless they're as good as something put out by FromSoft, which they never are, you're going to get lost in a sea of this trash. The only games that have ever stood out, or the only 3D, I should say, there are a couple of 2D Souls games that are popular and that are good, like Salt and Sanctuary and Blasphemous. But the only games 3D wise that have ever stood out are Another Crab's Treasure and Lies of P, both of which I now own and both of which I look forward to playing after I finish the Souls games. We all know my journey with Dark Souls 2, so I won't get into it. Anyways, going to return that for an undamaged copy, but looking forward to playing it at some point. Speaking of AAA games that went on such deep discount that it was also almost impossible for me to say no, this game was attacked by fans and critics. It was ripped a new asshole. A lot of people hated it, but then I would go on gaming forums that shall not be named, and people were like, I actually really enjoyed it. All the feedback from people who had played it and people who were commenting in the threads about like new versions that were coming out were like, I actually really enjoyed that. I had a really good time. Like, don't listen to the haters. And then it went on sale for $20, so I had to pick up Star Wars Outlaws because I kind of just sometimes like being in a Star Wars world. Like, it's just fun to be a space bounty hunter and just running around and talking to aliens in bars. I don't know how successful that it is at that. It is a Ubisoft game through and through, and that formula is tired. But I think it's only tired to people who play open world games all the time. I don't. I very rarely do. I really very rarely play video games at all. So this is a good opportunity to both have a cool open world game and a Star Wars game in one. The first Star Wars open world game. So I'm excited to crack into that. And apparently it's visually stunning, just like the Avatar first-person game that was made, Frontiers of Pandora, by Ubisoft using the Snowdrop engine. So I'm looking forward to trying this out. How can you say no for $20? In the old days, I'll tell you something. In the old days, fighting games, and one of the reasons that I actually quit gaming for some time, I've mentioned this many times, but fighting games would release a new boxed, complete version every year or three, or every year or two, I should say, with complete all new characters, costumes, everything included for cheaper than the original version that you got it. So, for example, the reason I was so frustrated by games during the PS3 360 era because I was really into Street Fighter 4, the original, picked it up, super excited. Fighting games are back. 2D fighting games are back. Then Street Fighter 4 Arcade Edition comes out. Okay, I'll pick it up. Pick it up. Then Super Street Fighter Arcade whatever comes out, and I'm pissed. I'm like, I'm fucking done buying this game. Now, I think we actually have a worse problem. You can't wait till the end of a generation to pick up a fighting game with a complete version like Super Street Fighter 4 Ultra. No. There's only one version of the game released, and then they have battle passes. So it's infected fighting games now. It's $35 for 4 characters and a couple of costumes and a stage. It's egregious. And a game that's doing that a lot of people have complained about is Tekken 8, which I also picked up for $20. Now, I have played Tekken a lot at friends' houses, and I've never been good at it. It's been a while, but Tekken 8 is supposedly visually amazing and one of the best Tekkens gameplay-wise. You know, the best since like Tekken 3. So that's very exciting. I'm really down to get into it and just play a couple rounds. It's a nice game to have on hand when somebody comes over and they're like, "I love Tekken. Can we play Tekken?" That's what I love about fighting games is everyone loves Tekken. Everyone loves Mortal Kombat. I mean, I don't like Mortal Kombat, but lots of people love Mortal Kombat. Just regular people, you know, like out there in the world who are not big gamers. They love Street Fighter, Tekken, and Mortal Kombat, the big three. And they see you have it. They're like, "Oh, this guy collects games. Oh, you got Tekken. I used to love Tekken when I was however old. Like, can we play?" And then you play, and it's like such a fun time. And they get that beautiful nostalgic feeling and just that touching sort of like memory of being so excited by being with your friends and playing a game together. So look forward to that. Lots of people have complained about the cadence of release of stuff, battle passes, everything's expensive, so on and so forth. I won't be engaging in that, but it's sad. I would have waited until the end of the generation to buy this in a complete Tekken 8 Ultimate Edition, but that's never going to happen anymore. Sad. 2 games that I already owned on Switch, but were so cheap, under $18, I believe, or under $20, that I couldn't say no. And that's going to be, and of course, run better on PS5. That's going to be Shin Megami Tensei 5 Vengeance Edition and Unicorn Overlord. Already own both on Switch. This one I have the Steelbook version, but they were so cheap and they run really well on PS5, better than the Switch versions, that I said, why not? This in particular, I'm excited to fight. I am a really big fan of real-time strategy games, particularly Vanillaware. Beautiful art style, beautiful music, and this was a big hit for a game its size and for a game from Vanillaware. So that's really nice. I think this, if you like Fire Emblem, shout out to my boy Thomas. If you like Fire Emblem, this is right up your alley. But I have not played it, so I'm actually gonna move that up on my backlog. I'm looking forward to that. And SMT5, just released the first 2 ones. What's going on? What is happening? Where are Persona 1 and 2? Where are the original Shin Megami Tensei ports? Like, what's going on here? I don't know. 2 games I don't really care about, but I picked up because they were, again, so cheap. This Sonic Superstars was literally $10. I think they're just trying to get rid of it. You got all the original Sonic games, the 2D Sonic games, remade. I never liked Sonic, but like it was $10. I don't, it's basically like they're giving away free copies of this game. And then Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. Never got into the Yakuza series. This is supposed to be one of the best ones. Then after this, they went on to release 2 what looked like boring iterative versions, Like a Dragon Pirates and Like a Dragon some other shit. There's too many of these, but this is supposedly an essential one, the 8th in the series. And in the last video, I think I discussed that I picked up the Yakuza trilogy, which included 3, 4, and 5, or 4, 5, and 6 in a collection. So, maybe one day I'll really get into it. This I've been super excited for, and I'm glad it went on a deeper discount. Didn't pick it up on Switch because this version runs better, and it does have a Switch 2 upgrade, but then the re-release of the first ones don't, so they're a game key card. But anyways, Dragon Quest 3 remake. I love the HD 2D games. I think they're beautiful. It's always nice if you get the original version re-released. Unfortunately, Dragon Quest 3 is not re-released, but Dragon Quest 3, I think a lot of people describe Dragon Quest games as gaming comfort food because of their simplicity and hewing to traditional RPG sort of conventions. I think that's wonderful, and I'm excited to play Dragon Quest 3 at some point. I'm also, as much as I love HD2D, I'm glad they're moving away from it and doing something more robust, because that Dragon Quest 7 remake looks really good visually. Like that I don't even know what to call it. It's like CG claymation. It looks wonderful visually. If you ask me now, a lot of people say Dragon Quest 7 is boring and bloated, but I have the original on PS1. Picked it up maybe a year ago, and I just think it looks good, man. This I did not pick up on Black Friday, and I already owned on Switch. But again, so cheap it's hard to say no. Under $20, Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection. You've got some of the greatest fighting games ever: Marvel vs. Capcom 1, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, X-Men vs. Street Fighter. Used to always play those in arcades. There's a laundromat that I used to go to that had X-Men vs. Street Fighter at it, and just played the hell out of that. And Marvel vs. Capcom 2, lots of fun memories of that as well on PS3. So, had it on Switch, but, why the hell not? I think it's good to have those games on. I think it's better to have fighting games on PlayStation, because you sort of future-proof yourself. The fighting game community plays on PlayStation, sometimes on PC, but usually on PlayStation as their official versions. Sony owned Evo, in fact, until a little bit ago when they sold it, and they're putting out. I guess it didn't make them money, but and they're putting out a fighting stick. So I want to look into that. I know there's really good ones out there on the market already, but a Sony fighting stick, if it's any good, might have to pick it up. And speaking of fighting games on PlayStation, I also got Capcom Fighting Collection 2 on PS4. This was also on a deep discount for Black Friday. Excited to play this because it has Power Stone and it has Street Fighter Alpha 3, both of which I love. Power Stone 1 and 2, I remember vividly Aaron, Demir, Aaron, back in the day when we were on radio. Sorry to name drop all these people. If you don't want your information out there, I apologize. I also don't think it matters because nobody watches these videos. But I remember back in the day in radio, he had a Dreamcast in his office, and he was like, I love Power Stone. And somebody was like, what's the best Dreamcast game? He was like, Power Stone. Of course. So this has Power Stone 1 and 2 remastered. We never thought those games would ever re-release, but Capcom has really been digging in their back catalog to put out lots and lots of great games that weren't accessible on modern consoles. So shout out to them. If you guys want to play Power Stone, I'm not sure if this has online play, but if you guys want to come over and play Power Stone, hit me up. Almost at the home stretch here, or we are in the home stretch rather. This I really wanted after playing it on Game Pass back when I had it, and I was just waiting for the price to drop. The price wouldn't drop, but I saw it on cheaper on eBay, like $45, and I just had to have it because I love archaeological adventures. I love Uncharted, and that's going to be Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. What's unfortunate is that it's a Microsoft published game, so it's not a real physical. It still needs to download. It has very little information, or very little of the game on disc, but whatever. I'm not going to spend every video complaining about fake physical games, but got Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. Really didn't think it would work because it was first person. I remember seeing trailers for it, and it was switching between first and third person perspective, and I was like, this looks horrible. But I played the opening and first level on Game Pass, and I was like, I want to tuck into this. I want to own this. So I got it on PS5. I'm glad they ported it. And I actually will, that's also at the top of my backlog. Another game that's at the top of my backlog, and our wonderful producer got me for my birthday because she knows how big of a fan I am. I've not played the original still. My friend Tony let me borrow it. I played a little bit. I've started and stopped this game at least 4 times, but I promise you that next year, before the end of 2026, I will beat both the first and the second Death Stranding. So we got Death Stranding 2 here, an amazing cover. Who doesn't love kissing a cute baby? Norman Reedus is like a politician here, kissing a cute baby. Supposedly this is visually just like mind-blowing. This along with like a couple other games like Returnal and Ghost of Yotair, like, whoa, we're actually now in the new generation. This was not possible on PlayStation 4. So I'm looking forward to that. Also on a sale, not on Black Friday, but got World of Goo 2. World of Goo. Sequel to the all-time classic indie puzzle game. It's one of those games, I think, along with Braid, that doesn't get enough credit for ushering in us into the indie era. I think it was on Wii. I'm not sure if it was on Xbox Live, but World of Goo, the original, was so highly rated. It has like a 90 something on Metacritic as an all-time great puzzle game, and you don't really hear about it anymore. So then many years later, they've come out with World of Goo 2. I picked it up. I'm excited to try it out. Now, Last is the game I'm most excited to play, and I hope to have time soon after I play Bonanza. Though I may move on to either Last of Us 2 or Death Stranding 1. But when I think it came out during COVID, or during like really the beginnings of COVID, and I loved it. I loved it until I didn't. The original Hades was an incredible experience through and through, and I picked up Hades 2, sequel to one of the greatest indie games ever made. Now, the original Hades, like I said, played on Switch and PC. Played on PC when it came out, 1.0, picked it up on Switch, continued playing on there because of the wonderful cross save, and I was enamored with it. I was playing it all the time. I was recommending it to everybody. And then the issue was when I tried to 100% it. I was having a 10 out of 10 time until I tried to 100% it, and I did not know that you can only have one conversation with a god per run. And to get the secret ending, you need to unlock every single conversation with every single god. Something like that. There's some like completion, basically, a requirement, 100% completion for the secret ending. So I did not know that until much later when I Googled why the fuck I wasn't getting the secret ending, and I had already been doing so many runs all the way through. And I was getting pissed off. I was like, I'm getting tired of this. This is boring the hell out of me. I just want to get the secret ending. And then I looked that up and I realized that I could just walk into a run, get a boon, talk to a god, find a new piece of dialogue, and then die automatically, be sent back out, and keep doing that. Then the ending came in like an hour or two. So I hope to not make the same mistake. I hope there isn't some poor design bullshit like that in Hades 2, but apparently this is even better than the original, which is an all-time great, not only just indie game, but an all-time great game. And I think Supergiant is just one of the best developers like working right now. And not only that, but as I've said before, I may have mentioned their games in a previous video, but Greg Kasavin, who used to be a reviewer and critic at GameSpot, used to always watch his videos. And I think it's just wonderful that a critic can become a game developer and create just all-time classic shit. He's kind of like Godard or other French New Wave directors. I think that's beautiful. Don't ever let anyone tell you that just because you're a critic or you don't make stuff, that you can't make stuff, and that those who cannot do, teach, or whatever the stupid saying is. That's one of the dumbest things people say. Shout out to teachers. Teachers are the backbone of humanity, of society. And shout out to critics whose work is constantly put down and identified as not important. No, critics are more important than ever now that criticism is being systematically destroyed by media companies and news organizations as unimportant. Basically, critics are more important than ever because a lot of criticism, particularly in games, is just public relations and advertising. You know, it's like, oh, hey, this game's coming out, it's great. No, we need to sincerely criticize games, and there are very few critics left who do that. You know, Yahtzee or Zero Punctuation is one who has been around for a long time. I really enjoy his work. I still do. I used to not, but now that I see what he does and I'm grown, I'm more understanding. And I think he still, you know, they have a very exacting point of view, and individual critics who have a exacting particular point of view and what they like are more important than ever, because you have these criticism game reviewing monoliths like IGN, where it's impossible to tell whose voice is who. So particular people that I like Dunkey, or not really much of a critic all the time, but Dunkey, Zero Punctuation, Stephanie Sterling. Yeah, there's lots of good ones out there. You just gotta find them. So that's all the pickups. Hopefully it wasn't too long a video. Yeet. Good stuff. Got a pile of games here. Gotta put it on the shelf. Hopefully I can play some of them. Really looking forward most to playing Hades 2, Death Stranding, Indiana Jones, Power Stone, Dragon Quest. Wow, got a lot of games here. The Mass Effect games, Unicorn Overlord, and Assassin's Creed 2. So, whoa, got so many games, man. Video games. I wish I could play them. No, but I am playing Bonanza, and it's some heat, man. Bonanza is a 10 so far. I just got to World 2. I'm trying not to do the thing where I burn myself out by being a completionist, though I did almost fully complete World 1. Getting 100% of bananas and fossils and things like that. But don't do that to yourself. Don't be like me. Don't be sick in the head. Do your best to take it slow, enjoy yourself, and come back later to do rounding up and completing things. But if you guys want to play Marvel vs. Capcom 2 or Power Stone, or you want to build a ladder for each other in Death Stranding, or you want to talk about, best strats in Hades 2, hit me up. If you want to play Tekken 8, hit me up. Looking forward to it. Thanks for joining this special Black Friday episode of Yusuf Plays. And much love to you. Hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving. Gotta have them ribs. And yeah, see you soon.